What up, y'all? We're making a video today on this is my friend Arrington. Arrington and I talk about the shit that I talk about on my channel all the time. My name's Carrington. His name's Arrington, and
Yes, yeah, I'm black and he's white, and like Lil Baby said, it's bigger than black and white. So
it's bigger
we're
than
not
that.
gonna overly stress like you guys may like
How white I am,
or how black I am. It's bigger than that, you guys. But I don't know. I wanted him to make a video with me on in regards to personal development and self worth and growing just in general. But I want to ask you a question, then we can just go back and forth, and we can just
Okay.
act like we're just in a regular
All right, so let's
conversation.
just chit chat.
So, a question I want to ask you is, for you to go from where you were 3 months ago to where you are now, what have you had to change in your mindset in order to fully become the things you would think about? Because
Wow.
I do know that a lot of people don't realize this, but your thoughts from today can shape your tomorrow, no matter if you're actually doing the thing or not doing it.
Agree. Well, great question. So I do really feel like in the past 3 months I've gone through a ton of personal growth. I think that I was at a place of stagnancy and complacency, and also had a lack of vision, along with discipline. Blah 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 blah. I think I was smoking too much weed. I think I was just indulging in too many things that weren't attributing to my life getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just kind of like getting through the day and not striving towards anything or trying to create a better tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that me compared to 3 months ago, what has really been big has been stop running away from oh yeah, stop running away from things. Stop like I was running away from YouTube for so long. I was scared of it. I was scared to sell my t-shirts. I was scared to stop going out and stop having that validation in my life, and to I was scared to become who I wanted to be because I know that the current me would have to die, and it would be really hard. Um, but I just think now I am really recognizing the impact of trying to make your life better and how it does come to fruition, and you do get to see the fruits of your labor. Even though I think that while this has been the best, most improving time of my life, I think that I've grown more recently than I ever have. Just in these past 50 days. I It has also been the hardest, but I think that that is just like we said when we were talking about it. Like, it was already hard, but you beat the level, and you got past that level, and you did level up. But the levels get harder,
Mm-hmm.
and you have more shit to deal with. So that's how I feel about that. In the past 3 months, how do you feel? You have changed.
Mm,
I don't know how you worded that, but
I feel like
what's different about Arrington now than Arrington back then? How do you
I'm
distinguish?
I have allowed myself to have fun. I've allowed myself to know fun in a certain capacity, but I realize that as I'm growing as a person, fun becomes different. So I realize that the more I have become more focused on growing my mind and my spiritual life and my relationship with God and like all of these different things, I've realized that my fun has just taken a different shape. But and what I've mostly realized is that funness and discipline can coexist while still maintaining a level of discipline in your life and just trying to grow, but also knowing that since I did die to a version of me, that version of fun also died as well. So it reformed itself into something more like reading books, and like I like just hanging out with my friends and have like deep conversations, and like I like talking about like just Bible stuff, or just, you know what I mean? Like I just like talking about like things that to most people won't seem fun, but it's fun to who I am right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I've allowed myself that's one thing that I really learned. Another thing I really learned is that it I was seeing this on TikTok, but someone was like, It's either one day or day one.
I say that a lot, dude. So true.
And like when I started
So
to hear that,
true.
I just was like, okay, like one day I could get serious about the gym, or I could just go on a walk today, and like just progressively get. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm just
Day one.
progressively get there. Day one, like it's okay, and I realized that it's okay if my capacity looks different every day. Like for example, I journal at the end of every night, and sometimes that journaling looks like a full page, and sometimes it just looks like a sentence. But at the same time, the most consistent common denominator in it all is that I showed up. And so I feel like that has really helped me master this art of leveling up without. I feel like it's a difference between dying to yourself and killing yourself. I feel like killing yourself is whenever you go about this process feeling like you have to become this person that you have to become this person, this new person of you so fast that you're killing who
Mm-hmm.
you are just in general. Because although you're dying, like a version of you is dying, there's still a part of you that you need to preserve.
Mm-hmm.
Because although I'm stepping out of this old version of me, I still am becoming someone else. And sometimes my personality may look the same, but my work ethic is different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's parts of you that you may have to like that may die, but you have to realize that you can't be killing yourself throughout the process because in the end of what you're trying to achieve through becoming this new person, you won't be able to fully what is the word called? Appreciate the thing because by the time you get there you have so many stab wounds because you have limited who you are as a person just to get this one particular outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
although you may get there faster by doing that, I think in the end, having a mindset of gratitude, but also still having this perseverance of growing and learning and growing, that is the beauty of the journey.
Mm-hmm. Something that uh, I want to touch on that you said is that you said there's a difference between dying or killing yourself. In terms of like when you're gonna level up,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that from the like if you feel inclined to level up by whatever's happening in your life, you know that you have a next chapter that's awaiting you that's requiring you to do something, whether it's committing to a job, or it's committing to the gym, or it's committing to making videos, or it's stopping smoking weed, or stopping going out, or removing negative people from your life. There's things that happen that something is pushing you to want to level up, and I think that there is a really big difference than killing yourself and dying, because you can look at all these negative things in your life that are currently holding you back, that you feel in your heart are holding you back from reaching your next destination. But now you have a choice to either condemn yourself and hate all these things that are in your life and be angry at them and want to destroy them and get rid of them, or you can just identify with that new greater version of yourself that you want
Mm-hmm.
to be. And you can, instead of focusing on I need to stop smoking weed, I need to stop partying, I need to start going to the gym, I need to start taking school more seriously, you can just say I take school seriously,
Mm-hmm.
or I like to work more, or
Mm-hmm.
I
Focus
like
on the
going to
good.
the gym, yeah, and I get to go to the gym, and I get to work hard in school,
Mm-hmm.
and I get to be sober, and I get to grow on myself and all this stuff. And I just think that's really important, because amongst this whole process has been, I'm sure it has been for you, like it's been great in terms of like you can see how much you've grown, and you can see how things in your life have started to shift to align more with what you think right now of what you like want your life to be, and what you want Arrington to become, and
Mm-hmm.
what I want myself to become. And I'm sure you're seeing that, and I'm sure it feels good, because
Mm-hmm.
it is really hard to do that. But at the same time, being here now and knowing that okay, X, Y, and Z has happened, and that has sucked a lot, but I would rather be here right now with how I feel in my head altogether about my life
Mm-hmm.
and what's going on, than I would, being, 3 months ago to who I was and what was going on in my life
I really like that answer.
then. Yeah.
Um, there's so much I can like grab a hold of and talk about, but I want to like keep the conversation moving forward. So I want to ask you, how do
now?
you
Okay, okay.
how do you navigate this journey of growing and loving yourself right now, but also forgiving yourself and loving yourself in the past? Because the this these older versions of us and the version of us that allowed the trauma to happen, or these versions of us that knew better and could and didn't do better, or these versions of us that were maybe more lazy, or the version of you that did smoke weed, how do you still love him in the process? Because I feel like when we do move forward and we grow, resenting that version of us, we're not really in the alignment of self-love, because it is conditional to this version of you that is finally getting the good outcome that you want. But I feel like true self-love is when you can love the version of you that was bad, but also the person you're becoming, but also the person that you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you navigate, and what would you tell people? How would you help them to love themselves from past, present, and future?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great question. Um, that's definitely been something I've been focusing on more ever since I've met you, and you've been so vocal about self love and all these things and taking yourself seriously and all that. And that's been really helpful for me because I'm someone who is very hard on themselves. So I appreciate having that in my life, and I also appreciate you uh, asking me such good questions for my video, because I know you're being very helpful right now, and I appreciate that. And I see you, and thank you.
What did you think I was gonna get here and ask you?
No, I don't.
He
I'm
thought I
just
was gonna
saying.
get here and ask you like
How was your day?
the guy you're talking to.
So something that I really think about is that, first of all, I look at me 2 months ago as I know how bummy I was being. I recognize that I was not getting closer to my goals by being who I was a couple months ago. But for me to not bully myself and kick that version of myself, I feel good about it now, but I just try to tell myself and remind myself that I wouldn't know that what's in my life right now is good if I had never seen the bad. And you need these evils in your life and these really I don't know, these
Tough
trials,
times, yeah.
things that you need the tough times in your life to recognize when it's good.
Hmm.
And I saw a diagram, or not a diagram, a visual representation on probably fucking TikTok, and it was like a ball moving forward, and it was rolling forward like that, and then there was a ball that was going up and down. It was like, and it was going way faster, and I was just like, the ups and downs. I mean, these things do pull you back, and they hurt you, and they bring you down, but it propels you forward in terms of what you gain by going through that drop. You know, you go through it and you get to that low point, but it gives you momentum to go higher, go faster, whatever. So I am really trying to tell myself that. I tell myself I'm glad I got that stuff out of my system. I'm glad that I did fuck around a lot. I'm glad that I have a version of myself where I can say, okay, this is what I have as not a starting point, but a reference to how I once was, what was going on in my life, and what this person did, and I now know, okay, how do we not do that? How do we make that better? And so I'll always have that reference point. Like when you were talking about your clothing brand, and you're like, can I talk about that? I want to talk about the shirt. And like, no, maybe not.
I don't mind.
Okay, okay. But it was talking about like Arrington is making his first shirt.
Yeah, I'm making my first shirt right
His
now.
his first shirt, and he was talking about it. He's like, I like it, like it looks good, but like I feel like it's not. What did you say?
I just didn't. I feel like I struggle with like inadequacy, where I just feel like no matter how good something may be, I just feel like I'm just not. I just feel like I'm not good enough, and so I can see how that bleeds into how I create stuff. I just feel like it's not good enough. Like that's why like I'll go on like hiatuses with posting. Sometimes I'm just like, you just I don't know. I'll create this imaginary standard in my head, and I feel like when I don't have the resources or I don't have the capacity to fulfill that thing that I want to put out into the earth, if it's not the best of the best, I'm just kind of like, oh, it's just not good enough. Like I'm not, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of told me, you hit on something that was so good, that you talked about how this is your starting point, and even looking at what I had created, it's actually pretty good in my eyes. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like something crazy. Like, I think it's still pretty good and it's very well thought of. But at the same time, like, in my mind, I'm just like, okay, how can I get better? But how can I try to get better at a race that I didn't even start running yet? Like, I haven't even set a PR yet.
True, dude.
I've never set a PR in the race, so it's like, why am I? And
Personal record. That's what that is.
I realize that a lot of us, we future trip, and we think that we're helping ourselves out where we're trying to perfectionize everything and be our better. I don't even know that's the word, and be our better selves. But it's like, how are you going to be your better self if you haven't even put your feet in the ground? You haven't even dipped your feet in the water yet.
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah, like I'm an overthinker, and I have times where I'm just kind of like, okay, like I don't know if this is good enough for that. But it's like, what do you think right now? Like right now, this is the capacity that I have for creating something. So I'm gonna just give them all that I have, and even if my 100% looks like someone else's 10%, it's still me right now, and that's just who I am. And I just have to continue raising the bar as I actually put out stuff, and not I can't just judge things from in my head, but I have to judge things from how they appear in reality.
Yeah, dude, totally. And that was great hearing you talk about that, because it was also a good reminder to myself that in anything you want to do, something's better than nothing. And the first time you do something, it will never be perfect, but it's a lot better that you just do it and get it out of the way and get that first time out of the way. And then after that, it's just a consistency thing to where it's like a analysis paralysis thing. And then you finally get through that. You're like, all right, I did it. Like, that wasn't so bad. Like, you know, it's not like you went through hell and back. You know, it's like, all right, well, I did this thing, learned stuff. Wasn't great, did like this, didn't like that, but either way, you know a lot more than you did now, and, you know, just go from there. But, yeah. How do you give yourself grace for 3 months ago?
From how do I give myself 3 months ago from now until today?
Some deliverance from 3 months ago.
How do I give myself grace from 3 months ago? Like in what regard?
Well,
Like,
so you asked me, like, how do I take, you know, how do I not judge the person who I used to be too much? You know, what's the difference between me now and then? You know, because, you know, I know that you've done a lot of growing as well.
how do I give myself grace? What are you laughing at?
That's just like,
How do I give myself grace from 3 months ago? It's just that, what was 3 months ago?
I don't know.
I feel like that's such a fresh wound sometimes, where I'm just kind of like, wow, like, oh, you didn't do nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not even about being hard on myself, but it's like, I keep the sternness a little bit for at least right now, just so that I don't fall back into that person. I have to create some type of distance where it's kind of like, I love you, but I have to love you from afar. And I look at myself in that same regard, where it's like, I love you, and I think you were doing the best that you could, but the more I foster a relationship with that version of me, I'm talking about 3 months ago, not like my inner child, which is different conversation. I just kind of like, I see him in my rearview mirror, and so I'm further away to where I can see him, but I'm not going to pick him up. But I will call him an Uber. So I love him.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, like it's like you it depends. Like everybody's relationship with themselves is different. Like, let's say, for instance, my 3 months ago was more traumatic and something happened to me. I would definitely be wanting to be more close, and I would be revisiting conversation with myself. But I feel like the version of me that I was just so willingly like lazy that I just was like, hey buddy, like, oh, okay, I hope you're doing well.
Yeah.
I can't be around you too long.
Yeah.
But I do love that version of me. It's just more so like, okay,
Yeah.
he taught me something that you won't get to where you're going by just thinking about it.
Yeah. And also, when you look back on this older version of yourself that's like you might not be so fond of, I mean,
Oh, my feet fell asleep.
what was I going to say? When you look back on that version, be grateful that you got to have the fun or the whatever, you know? I'm glad I got to
Smoke your weed.
smoke my weed and just chill and and convince my now I know I've learned what not to do, and learning what not to do is just as important as learning what to do. So learning what to do is great, and that's going to propel you, but it doesn't help to learn what not to do. And you get to kind of, in a sense, you're learning from your own mistakes, but you right now got to learn from another person's mistake. That was you, but you got to learn that lesson firsthand. So I mean,
I feel like that's the difference between like reading books and just like learning it. Like I feel like I've seen so many millionaires that kind of like became like successful in a sense, and they weren't the most educated people, but at the same time they got the lesson. So like I feel like the big question is, how do you own the lesson? And we all own the lesson in a different way. I'm more of a reader. I'm more analytical. I like to critically think. I like to sometimes critically think my way to it, and I know that that's probably not the best. Don't keep moving with the mic.
oh yeah, the mic.
But at the same time, I know that like I'm gonna own the lesson. And like I was telling this to Naima downstairs, I was telling her about how there's this time in my life where I wanted to read books so much because my parents. Well, you're like.
I'm all over the place. It's fine. I'm just laying down though.
My parents were kind of like reading books is what made like people successful. So I just kind of got into the mindset of reading, and so I remember I bought books, and then as I was buying the books, well, you can keep it like that, yeah, like that. As I was buying the books, I just kind of would look at them and be like, oh, one day I want to do this. One day I can do this, and like I didn't have the capacity to read, but then now I'm like, all I do is read.
This motherfucker does not go anywhere without a book.
Yeah, because it's like I want to keep
24/7.
But like that's the difference between like whenever
his actions are speaking louder than his words.
Yeah, like I actually want to be reading. I want to.
He's about it. This person reads books more than anyone I've ever hung out with.
Oh yeah, I like read, y'all.
He'll be like hanging out and he'll go read.
Oh no, I'll bring my book. So like
he bring his book to the birthday dinner last night.
Yeah, because it's like if the conversation is not going where I want, I'm gonna talk to an author that has the answers that I want. Because it's fun to joke around and stuff, but it's like, okay, it's the joke, it's gonna pay my bills.
And that's how we're both goofballs who like can get down with being silly, but like are also very big on like, okay, what's up right now, and like that's how we can be silly online, but we also are having these conversations all the time, and like I don't know why I'm like validating that why we can talk like this, but it just like, yeah,
it's okay, yeah. I think that's a pretty good.
You think this is a good video?
I think this is an amazing. I think that somebody is definitely going to be blessed by this video. Blessed by the wisdom.
Someone will be delivered.
God is what. Listen, y'all. If you got to this part, God loves you, and I love you.
This is great, Arrington. You're the bomb.com. Thanks for making a video. You want to make another video after this?
Yeah, we can. What do you want to make it about? Wait, can we get me a coffee first?
Yeah. Where you want to get coffee? I want to get a coffee too.
Wherever you want to pay for it at.
All right, I love you guys. You guys are a lot stronger than you think you are. I'm proud of you guys. You're doing great. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be so hard on yourself. The obstacle is the way. And
you will get there eventually.
You will get there eventually. It's not one day. It's day one. And be the person that you wish you had in your life. Love you guys. Bye-bye.